any kind of, apologizing to the jury for this and apologizing to the jury, I think it's pandering to the jury at this point. I think we just need to move on with the actual case.
Does the defendant want to respond to any of those concerns?
Yes, sir, Your Honor. And I understand the prosecution's frustration if I do approach the table where I approach the prosecutors, and I shouldn't have the microphone in my hand. I noticed I did that. I ran back later. I did do that at one point. I shouldn't be doing that. That is correct. But you yourself, Your Honor, told me to grab the microphone when I was up at the screen, and I would suggest that I'd still be allowed to do that. That way, the jury can still hear me when I'm up at the screen. As far as the apologies, I just happen to be a polite person. I try to be, and if you would like me to curb my apologies, I can try to do that as well.
All right, thank you. I believe that the reason that Mr. Tucker was invited to use the handheld was because he's soft-spoken. And this helps get him on the record. Am I speaking correctly there, Monica? Yes, she's nodding her head affirmatively. So I believe that I'm not going to order him not to use the handheld. In terms of how the jury sees that, who knows? I mean, frankly, trial attorneys are very aware of all these sorts of subtle things and intangible things, and they try to avoid things that would alienate or create certain impressions in the jurors' minds. But in this particular instance, I think you've got enough on your mind where I'm not going to tell you you can't use the handheld microphone, because I believe that it does facilitate the hearing. So that's number one. As far as apologies, I don't think that this is some strategy on Mr. Tucker's part. I think it's a product of feeling uncomfortable and maybe not wanting to offend. I think you might be, again, but this is not a court order, so to the extent you got to be yourself, be yourself. I think you're probably too, what should I say, sensitive about apologizing, but I'm not going to tell you that you can't do it again. I think those are more style than they are any kind of strategy. So that's how I would see those things. So let's bring them in. Yes, sir. You all can be seated if you care to.
All jurors present in the courtroom, Your Honor.
Thank you. Please be seated, everyone. And good afternoon, folks. I guess you all got the phone message after I told you to be here at 9:15 on Tuesday morning. Then something came up and it seemed like that would be a situation where if you showed up at 9:15 this morning, you've been in a wait mode again. So I made a decision that it would be preferable just to try to get you a phone message and reset things at 1 o'clock. So thank you very much for your flexibility with that. Again, I try my best to be mindful of your time, try my best to assess how things are going and deal with the situation as the case goes. As I mentioned before, logistics and unexpected things occur in virtually every case. So we're big picture, we're on schedule. I talked about last Monday when we had our first qualifications, the time period we had. So big picture, we're still on schedule. And thank you very much for being flexible. We all really appreciate it. But we're back here on the record in State versus Franklin Tucker, 17-841. Where we left off was the continued testimony of Danielle Malone. She's here. So if you'd please come forward, ma'am. Step right up to the witness stand. You can have a seat. So I remind you, you're still under oath. That still carries over since the beginning of your testimony. And we're still in the midst of the defendant's cross-examination, so Mr. Tucker can proceed.
May I?
Yes.
Your Honor, do you mind if I move the podium a little bit closer to the witness?
No, it's okay.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to try and make this as quick as I possibly can. Ms. Malone, you testified that you were charged with handling the collection of video evidence. Is that correct? Some video evidence in the case.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And then you were put in charge of collecting that, right? From different places.
I was asked, yes, sir.
Okay. And I remember one of them, was it CVS? Am I correct in saying that?
Yes,
Okay, good. What about Tom Thumb? Were you charged with collecting video from Tom Thumb?
no,
And do you know if there was video ever collected from Tom Thumb?
I picked up a CD from Tom Thumb that was requested by another deputy or detective.
I may be confused here. You just said you weren't in charge of collecting video from Tom Thumb, and then you collected a CD from Tom Thumb?
Yes, the detective that was supposed to retrieve the video, it wasn't ready on time. They asked me to pick up what they had requested.
Okay, so you were put in charge of collecting a video from Tom Thumb.
I was asked to pick it up. I wasn't in charge of it.
Okay, maybe it might be semantics. It may be just the way I'm asking you. I'm sorry. Okay, so you did pick up a CD from Tom Thumb. Did you ever view the CD that you got from Tom Thumb?
No,
Okay. And is that the only ones that you did, CVS and Tom Thumb?
I believe so, yes.
All right, and you never reviewed Tom. How about the CVS? Did you ever review the CVS video, the videotapes from CBS?
Yes,
Okay, and was there anything of evidentiary value on those CDs?
No.
And, let's see. Okay, and did you, I know we talked about some of your tasks that you had in the days after the crime. Were you ever tasked with photoshopping a lineup picture of me?
I was tasked with preparing a photo lineup, yes.
And what would that preparation entail?
Going through all the mugshots that we had in the MCSO database and finding 6 pictures of subjects that have the same characteristics, same race, male, female, we try to get like the same type of shirt, same background, same size picture of their face. So no one photo stands out from another photo.
But it was you never altered any of the photos at all?
I did not.
Okay. Do you know if any of them were?
Yes.
And was that a yes, or a yes, they were altered?
Yes, somebody photoshopped them.
Okay, just check. Okay, so do you know if those photos were ever used for a lineup?
I believe so, but I had no part in that photo lineup.
You had no part in that one. Okay, that makes sense. Okay, thank you. And let's see. We got that. As far as your other collection of evidence, I think we went over that. You were only there for the knife. Is that correct? You were there for the collection of the knife.
I was not there for the collection of the
Oh,
knife.
that's where I must have misheard. Were you there for the collection of any other evidence in this case?
I mean, I didn't take part of any real collection of evidence that was used in this case. I was there like on the scene the night that crime scene processed. I was there the day that the mask was found in the boat, but I personally didn't take any part in collecting that evidence.
Okay, none of that evidence. What about Paula's backpack?
Yes,
Yes, you were there, or yes, you collected it?
yes, I collected it.
And approximately, and I don't expect, I know it's been a long time, approximately how long was that after the crime?
I believe it was December 7th.
And where was that evidence collected from?
It was in Big Pine.
Okay, and was there any explanation as to how it got to Big Pine?
It was at a house that John Travis Johnson, the getaway driver, was working at after,
There was a house John Travis Johnson was working at.
yes,
And did John Travis Johnson ever explain how that got there?
I don't know, I'm sure he did, but I wasn't part of that interview.
Just asking. Okay. And how did that come to be found? How did they find her backpack there?
The homeowner went to go change the air filter in her air conditioner, and in the air conditioner closet, she saw the backpack in the back of that closet underneath the air handler.
Okay, just to be clear, was it in the air vent, or was it in the closet, or was it in the back? I mean, where was it actually located?
So she had central air, so she had the big AC air handler that had its own like utility closet. It was raised up a little bit on like legs, so it wasn't sitting flush with the floor. And it was underneath that, and that not really a closet, it's like the air handler storage space.
So it wasn't out in the open, though,
No, it was up behind a closed door.
and up underneath because again, I'm trying to picture this, but up underneath the vent.
Not really a vent, but underneath the air handler, like the actual AC.
Oh, the AC
Unit.
unit itself.
Yes,
Okay. All right, so it was up underneath the AC.
yes,
Okay. And you said it was found by the homeowner.
yes.
And how did they know it was Paul's backpack?
I believe they opened it.
And, you know, from, I guess I'm still trying to picture here. They opened it. How did that make it Paula's backpack when they opened it?
If I recall correctly, Paula's EBT card was inside the backpack
Okay, so
with her name on it.
Paula's EBT card.
Yes.
And that was all taken into evidence.
It's taken into property, yes.
Okay, and so you took it from Big Pine back to headquarters?
I don't believe so. I don't believe that's where I took it.
Okay, and where did you take it?
I probably took it to the special operations building in Marathon where Major Crimes main office was.
The Major Crimes main office? Okay.
Yes.
And was it then put into some kind of lockup or security, secured area?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And immediately afterwards, or was that longer?
It was secured in my possession the entire time.
Secured in your possession?
Yes, sir.
Is that against MCSO policy?
It is against their standard practices. Yes.
Okay. And did you have a sustained IA complaint anytime during this investigation?
Objection relevance.
I'll sustain the picture of that schedule. We're fine with that. I'm sorry for any inconvenience today, but I expect tomorrow to be a full day, starting at 9 o'clock. So please adhere to the court's cautionary instructions. Have a good evening, and we'll see you tomorrow. So said they're going 9 o'clock tomorrow for the jurors, anticipating we can be here at 8:55 and get off to an early start and make
Yes, sir.
the most.
Judge, it's my turn to apologize. I should have had other witnesses here. I anticipated a longer afternoon. So,
Yeah, I understand. Try to make our best assessments, and as I keep repeating, and obviously that is my ultimate focus, I trying to finish at the latest February 2nd.
oh,
It's still with the belief that we should be able to do so significantly sooner than that, hope by the end of next week. But you know, that's ultimately the focus. I do not want to keep these folks beyond what they committed to, and I don't think there's any reason why they would have to. So, unless there's something else, we'll see you on time tomorrow. And
Yes. Instance, in a loving way, I'd tease him and say that he was like my little baby deer, because we lived on Key Deer, and when deer have a hard time walking when they're first born, real unbalanced and unsteady. That's what he was going through at the time. In hindsight, I should have taken FMLA. I should have taken the time off. I should have been there to take care of my husband. But I thought I was Superwoman and I could do all of that. And obviously that wasn't the case.
I appreciate your honesty. I'd like to turn your attention now to the questions that Mr. Tucker, the defendant in this case, asked you about the photo lineup. He asked you if in fact the photo lineup was photoshopped.
Yes, sir.
Is that standard procedure? Is that something that's normally done in these types of cases?
Typically, no. But at that time, we only had one picture of Mr. Tucker, and he was wearing a hoodie in that photo. And we had no other photos of anybody in our system that had a hood on the back that matched height, weight, age, and the physical descriptors.
So in an attempt to make the photo lineup fair, that's why you in the sheriff's department decided to Photoshop.
Objection, Your Honor, this is leading.
cross-examination, it's okay. So I'm going to overrule the objection.
Yes, sir. We were trying to make it as completely fair and where nobody in that photo lineup stood out in any way, shape, or form because of something like clothing or, like if you take a picture too close to somebody, their face looks really big, or if they're far away, we painstakingly made sure that all the pictures were the same, and even to the point of making sure that they all had on dark colored shirts and there wasn't somebody wearing a white shirt and somebody wearing a black shirt. We painstakingly made sure that
Is it your testimony here today that you altered or concealed or destroyed any of that evidence?
No.
A lot of questions about the Cosme videos during your direct examination and cross-examination.
Yes, sir.
Now, you're not telling this jury that you can specifically identify anyone in those videos?
Correct. You can't see people's faces in that video, and you can't really see if they're black or white or Asian or Hispanic. You could see subjects. You can kind of, based on body shape, body size, get an idea if they're thin, if they're extremely tall, if they're heavy.
After your interviews in this case and based on the totality of the circumstances, did the figures in those Cosme videos match the general descriptions of the suspects that you had in this case?
Absolutely. Between what Travis Johnson told us in his confession, after what Roger Ruggett told us in his interview about what happened, how many people there were, the physical descriptors of who was there based on Paula's absolute identification of the gentleman that she knew by the street name of Detroit, who was later learned to be Rory Wilson, based on Todd O'Quinn in his initial interview gave a detailed description of the sequence of events that lined up with the Cosme video, as far as when they saw one person running, and then when the time delay for the second person running, that he was going up the hill.
Ma'am, you don't have to get into all that detail to answer the question, please.
Yes, sir, sorry.
So, but you can continue with your answer. I'm just saying that it didn't call for a recitation of some of that.
Okay.
We'll move on. You indicated you spoke to Ms. Belmonte, correct?
Yes, sir.
Was she able to identify her attackers?
She was absolutely able to identify Detroit, Rory Wilson.
And what about the second attacker?
No,
Was she sure about that?
she was absolutely positive she could not see the second person.
And based on, did you ever have a chance to speak to a person by the name of April Walker?
Yes,
And without telling me the nature of your conversation with her, based on your conversation, though, was she able to corroborate your investigation and the conclusions you had based upon that investigation?
yes.
So you have a moment?
Yes?
Oh.
Last question. Ms. Malone, based on your investigation in this case, based upon the conversations you had with other individuals that were involved in this case, did you come to a conclusion you had enough evidence to charge this defendant with robbery and murder?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. I have no further questions.
Okay, we're going to ask if we can approach the bench here, please.
I mean, what is wrong with this judge? He did it on Friday. He did the same damn thing. He's the one wasting time. And you know what? I don't like that judge. He's one of the rudest judges I've ever seen. I wonder if anybody ever went pro se before out there in front of him. Now that this is going to be over with, should we continue our coverage of reviewing the case? Would you be interested? Okay, what I'll do then is after this, I will take this one, leave the whatchamacallit and do another one, like start in 15 minutes. I kind of got an idea what I want to talk about.
Go in the jury room for a bit, please. Appreciate your cooperation and patience.
No explanation why?
All right, jurors are
Let's look
going
into the judge.
to be at ease. So, you would like this witness held subject to recall. So my question is, how are you going to communicate with her? Is there some numbers she's supposed to call, or is there some way that she'd like you to contact her? That's my concern is, if in fact you intend to recall her, how as a practical matter is she to get word?
Your Honor, actually, at this point, I do have the MCSO is what I've been using what I used for my subpoena. I would imagine if I could get an email with Danielle Malone that way, we wouldn't have to interact in any inappropriate way.
Do you understand what's happening here?
Yes.
Okay, so in other words, the state's finished with your testimony. We've gone through the direct and the cross and the redirect. Mr. Tucker would like to have the option to recall you in his case. Okay, that's certainly within the rules. And I need to figure out a way that he can communicate with you to let you know if you're going to be called and basically when. So I'm trying to facilitate that so we don't have any confusion if the need arises. So he suggested an email, or is there a work number? How would you suggest he contact you in the event that you're going to be recalled?
My work number is manned 24/7 since it's a 911 center. So he could call at any time and then they can reach out to me either via phone or sending a deputy to my house or whatever needs to be.
And will that work for you, Mr. Tucker?
I mean, it will, Your Honor. I just, in an overabundance of caution, to make sure that, again, there's no even illusion of impropriety. I still think an electronic message would probably be better.
Well, I'm not going to force her to give an email if she's disinclined
Wow.
to do so, unless it's a work email.
My work email is dmalone@keysso.net.
D
Wow.
with a period or not?
No period.
D.
D Malone, and then just at keys, KEYS, SO.net.
Okay, so you've got work email and you know her work number, phone number.
No, I do not.
It's 305-289-2351 is the non-emergency line.
Just to make sure I have it correct, 305-289-2351.
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. Thank you.
All right, so any instructions that I need to give the witness at this point, seeing that she may be recalled?
She's still going to be, she'll still be under the rules that she can't talk about it to anybody in the case or her testimony, I think would be a safe bet.
I would agree, Your Honor.
All right, so again, it's a little, I just want to be clear, rather be overly cautious than not. So the rule of sequestration of witnesses was invoked at the beginning of the trial. So what that means is witnesses cannot speak to anyone about their testimony. Normally, it applies while they're out there waiting. They can't be in the courtroom or after they've testified until I suspend the rule as it applies to them. The exception to that is witnesses can speak to attorneys for either side and about their testimony as long as they do it one witness at a time. Now, what makes this a little bit different is she's already testified and could testify more. So it's kind of like in the middle of it, kind of. So normally at that point, nobody's really talking to witnesses unless there's some exceptions. So other than this is when we need you, I would say just don't talk to anybody about your testimony.
Yes, sir.
All right? I'm not trying, I just don't want, some confusion or some problem. That's the last thing I want.
No, absolutely, same here.
So everyone satisfied with that instruction?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right. All right, ma'am.
I do have, like, how long of a heads up would I be given? Half hour, an hour, half a day? Do we know?
Well, I guess that's up to Mr. Tucker, but I would hope that you'd have a day notice. I'm not saying it's required, but that's normally the case as attorneys plan their case. They have an idea of who they're going to call, about how long it's going to last, and so they're able normally to give a witness a day notice.
Your Honor, I will go ahead and try that, and I will make sure that I give her a day's notice at least.
So, anything else?
No, sir, I think that's it. Thank
Take care.
Okay. So there's that.
Okay.
Can you believe it? Can you believe it? I can. Now, we need to look into this judge. I got to get his name now. However, I do want to talk. Yeah, tomorrow at 9:30 Eastern time. Now, I want to go through the captain that was fired, that was on this case. I want to go through the CCTV, which you can't see nothing anyways, but we'll look. And yes, Grandma, the judge. So, with that said, Grandma, give me a half hour. Okay. Well, I'll just make sure we do a notification so people know. Because I want to get everything set up. I need to find that judge's name. So if you want to look, cool. But I'm going to look really quick, okay? And thank you for being here like always, Grandma. Okay, cool. I'll set up my thing right after I sign out of this one so people know. Sweet.